Hey, g'day, Paul here from Vocal Pro. I want to talk to you today about tongue placement when we sing, because if we get that in the wrong spot, it really has a massive impact on the way that our throat works and the way that our voice works. The reason why is because the root of the tongue, you see, from here, that's the tip of the tongue, the blade of the tongue's the bit that you can see, the top corner that you can kind of see is called the dorsum, and then it goes right around under here into the bottom under here, called the root of the tongue, and then you've got the digastric and geniohyoid muscle and a bunch of other stuff under there. But basically that whole area through here is tongue, and it's connected to the larynx via a bone here called the hyoid bone. Now what happens is, if you get your tongue in the wrong spot, it affects what's happening in the larynx because they're physically connected. And essentially, in broader sense, what we want to do is we want to get the tongue up and forward a little bit so we can get the root of the tongue up and out of the throat. And the reason why we want to do that is because, especially when we're moving into some high notes, the larynx needs to raise. It's the natural function of the voice. And so if we're pushing down on the back of the tongue and we're not allowing the larynx to raise, it will give you that It'll kind of give you that sort of sound. So when you look at professional singers, you'll notice that their tongue's in that position. In fact, Adam Lambert, who I will show you now, Adam Lambert's tongue is so far forward it actually kind of sits outside of his mouth a little bit. I don't know whether you need to go quite that far, but have a look at Aretha Franklin. Just check that. You notice her tongue position, so it's flat, what we call laterally, in other words, widthways it's flat, and the tip is kind of against the front of the mouth. In fact, in her case, the tip of the tongue is sitting over the bottom teeth, so you can't see the bottom teeth. She's actually kind of slightly pushing on the bottom gum, just like that. And the edges of the tongue are fairly high, almost pushing on the top back teeth, the premolars, the two rows of teeth behind the canines. So that's basically tongue position. Have a look at this one too. This is a guy called David Phelps, who is an amazing singer. You can click that that link and watch that. It's called No More Night, and it's a gospel song, but my goodness, that guy nails it. But have a look at his tongue placement and you'll get to see the reason why all the pros have it there. And also, now that you know what I've just said, like as far as the technicals, you'll understand the reason why they put it there. And fundamentally, we all know this anyway, because if you actually push your tongue out, and you get that effect, and then if I pull it back too far, it can really change the sound of our voice quite significantly. So tongue placement, very important. How do you do it? Basically keep the tongue laterally flat and just push the back edge of the tongue on the two rows of the teeth behind the canines. So it's more like that kind of position. Now, one final thing about the tongue. The tongue has a mind of its own, because if it didn't, we'd always be biting it every time we went to talk or every time we went to chew. So it's very good at working automatically, and as an aspiring singer or even as an existing singer, if you don't know how to place the tongue, like if you've never brought conscious thought to your tongue before, firstly, well, the first time you go to do it, it's kind of going to go and it's going to walk around on you, and you're not going to have much control over it. That's normal. It has to be, because if you had to bring conscious thought to it, I'd be biting it all the time just talking to you, or I'd be, go to bite into a pie and I'd end up biting half my tongue off. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So, hope this has helped. Send me a message if you want further help with it. I'm always up for doing Skype sessions. I love working with people. I love fixing their voices. Hope this is really helpful for you. See ya. Bye.